episode of Extra Time TV. It's special because England takes on Scotland. James can barely contain himself, as you can see. And, before we get into it, James, our friend Jamie Ward has a message for you, James. So let's hear it.
Good evening, James. So just a little bit about Scotland and England tomorrow. One that myself and yourself will be looking forward to, with it being our home countries. Pretty sure you're a little more nervous than what I am right now, but I think we have a good spectacle ahead of us. So it's two good teams. If Scotland turn up on the day, can cause many problems for England. So there's obviously good news regarding Tierney being back for Scotland. He'll be nice and solid, and as we've seen him for Arsenal all year, he's been really good. The other side is obviously England have Harry Maguire back, and that they also possess an awful lot of attacking threats. So I think if the attacking players turn up tomorrow, then I think there's only going to be one winner. And unfortunately, James, it's not going to be Scotland. But for both camps, for anyone watching that game, I'm sure it'll be a great game. Last time out, they met at Wembley in a competition like this was Euro 96, and we've seen the magic of Paul Gascoigne, who was an unbelievable player on his day. So with a bit of luck, we'll see a bit of magic from either side like that. It'll be great to watch. Good luck, James. I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have the smile on my face and you'll be crying into your kilt. Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. Good luck, everyone.
So there you have it, folks. James, I'd love to hear a response to this.
Well, I don't think I'm going to be crying into my kilt, but maybe he'll be crying into his breech. That's what we say in Scotland. And I'm not going to translate that to anybody else out there, but I know this is a massive game. My pores are raising even thinking about it. I know Steve Clarke's probably quoting the old William Wallace speech, in his mind over and over again, so he can say it in that changing room, because this game is huge. The magnitude of this game for the country. At the end of the day, Scotland has a population of 5.4 million. England has a population of 56 million, if I'm not mistaken. It's huge for us, and all the history and all that. Yes, that was in the past, but this is a chance for us to come out and really show what we can do. So I cannot wait for this game. Yes,
and you could tell me if I'm getting this wrong, but it's interesting. We have yourself, Scott, Jamie is, which, before we get into that, Jamie, folks, if you don't know, he has played for Northern Ireland as well, but he's also English, as James was explaining to me. So, it's an interesting dynamic, James, the Englishman, the Scot, and also the Irish. Am I saying it right? Is it there?
Well, I'm waiting for the punchline there, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not going to finish the punchline, but I'm just saying we have all the ingredients for that joke. So everybody who knows in that side of the world, we pretty much have it ready made for a joke, James. We pretty much have it ready made for a joke. So, let's get into it, James. So, I know you're excited. I'm excited as well because you're excited, because I have some love for Scotland as well. And, Scotland didn't start off well in their first game. They lost, but this is a must-win for Scotland against pretty much the old enemy, as you say. England is England. They have a very dynamic attacking team. And Scotland has one of the, more decent teams in recent years. So, James, let's try to, a lot of people say we're getting excited, but does Scotland have a chance in this game?
Definitely. It's all down to the coach at the end of the day, because if he goes with his normal kind of, Steve Clarke's known to be very cautious. I think this is not a day to be cautious. This is a day to leave everything on the field, wear the heart on the sleeve, win every battle out there. And I think that's something the players will get. It's a great bunch of players. I think he's going to have to change some things up. But this is a do or die game, because, let's be honest with you, it all depends also what happens in the Croatia-Czech Republic game, because in theory, we could be in dire straits before the game starts, because that game at 12 o'clock, if Czech Republic were to win, well, that puts it really on us. So, it's a do or die game we must win. And as I say, it has my mouth watering even thinking about it. We know England has quality, but so do we. Tierney's back for us, which is massive. The Arsenal player, great player, has such a great partnership with Robertson on the left. The other interesting thing is I'm wondering if Steve Clarke will change the goalkeeper. Obviously Marshall made that kind of howler in a sense. Will he go back to Gordon? the old one, my old friend there, and also O'Donnell had a nightmare, I would say, in my opinion. Would he bring in young Patterson, and will Billy Gilmore get a chance for Chelsea? So there's so many things to talk about. I mean, and then even England have so many players they can bring in. So we just don't know, but I really hope the game lives up to all the everything around the game. I mean, as I say, the fans are going to be gearing up from, I mean, probably now. There's probably Scottish fans camped out outside Wembley now, I'd imagine, you know. They're probably all singing and dancing and drinking beer. I mean, we know it's COVID-19, but this is a game that only comes round every once in a while. And the last time we beat England was 1999. So you're talking 22 years ago. I mean, it's something big for us. So this game is going to be an epic game.
Folks, can you imagine James in his William Wallace voice saying, you know, freedom, you know, the time is now, one chance, and all that? I won't butcher the Scottish accent because I don't have it. I just don't. But, you know, James, actually, I'm going to throw a question at you. Is that the same Gordon that played for Sunderland years ago? Is that the same?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. As I say, an old teammate of mine, Craig Gordon. I mean, he's now, I am 37. He'll be a year older than me, so he'll be 38, coming on 39. So, I mean, he's pushing it age-wise. I mean, he's there. I mean, we also have John McLaughlin from Rangers. But, I mean, it's one of those ones. I mean, do you change the goalkeeper knowing that he's been working with the defence for so long? So, it probably won't happen, but there is a slight chance, you know, it could. But I think you're more likely to make the Gilmore and Patterson change. But we'll see it. Again, it depends how much Steve Clarke thinks it'll make a difference, you know, to the starting lineup. So, I mean, we will see.
Yeah. So before we move along, Trinidad and Tobago fans, you know, when Gordon was at Sunderland, some other Trinidadians were there as well. If you all do your research, you can find that out. So you can put that in the comment section below. I won't say it. I think Roy Keane was the coach at the time for a little while there as well, if I'm not mistaken. Is it? I can't remember. But,
I think it was, yeah. I think it was.
Yeah, because, you know, there was a heavy Trinidadian contingent around that. And that's why I know who Gordon is. He was one of the most exciting keepers around at that point in time. So, you know, interesting. So, you know what? I'm going to go into the form guide real quick. So, England in all competitions have won their last 5, according to what I'm seeing here. And Scotland, you know, as you know, they had the draw against Netherlands. So, draw, win, draw. So, they, you know, decent form for a team like Scotland. So, let's talk about Gareth Southgate. So, you know, Gareth Southgate is going with the 3 at the back, you know, formation that hasn't been really used much by England coaches. Well, I think the last person that used 3 at the back was maybe Glenn Hoddle. I could be wrong. English fans, you can correct me. So, do you think that Gareth Southgate is going to head into this game with a more conservative approach, or is he going to go abandon the 3 at the back and go for the 4-3-3, or stick with this sort of safe approach? What do you think?
Well, I heard that Maguire's back. You know, that's something I was reading. So, I mean, it looks as if he's going to slot in there. I mean, I think he'll probably have a back 4, to be honest. I think Trippier, Stones, Maguire and Walker will probably play, to be honest. I mean, he has other options, Reece James and things on the bench there. I mean, I think the biggest decision is probably who he's going to play in midfield, because he knows that Scotland are going to come, as I say, they're going to try and leave everything on the field. And there's so many that, I mean, the players play in England. You've got Tierney, you've got McTominay, you've got Gilmore, you've got Dykes, you've got Adams. All of these guys know a lot of these players, you know. So I think he's going to have. I mean, Phillips had such a good game. I think Phillips will play, but will he bring back in Henderson? You know, I mean, I think Mason Mount and is it Rice played there? So. Or will he bring in Grealish, you know? And we've got Rashford as well up top. You know, Sterling scored the goal. So there's so many tactical changes that Southgate could make. But it all depends on what he thinks, you know, Scotland are going to come with. And we don't know, you know, nobody's going to show their hands until the game, you know, just before the game. But I think he will be a little cautious because, as I say, it's a do or die game for us. We have to win this game. It's as simple as that. And we've seen it already in the tournament that, you know, these things happen, that the teams that didn't have such a good game are stepping up in the second game. So it's our chance, one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom. There you go, Andre.
There we go. Listen, that is meme-worthy stuff, folks. That is spoken like a true Scotsman. And listen, you know, we're from Trinidad and Tobago, and if it's one thing that I admire about countries like Scotland and Argentina and places, that is that patriotism and national pride that is enviable, that sometimes we lack down here. So, you know, listen, tomorrow I'm supposed to be neutral, but I'll be a Scot along with James. I'll be that odd guy in a movie that you don't really see in the background. I think in the movie there was a crazy character called the Christian. Remember him?
I don't know that one actually.
Okay, in William, I know we're shying off from the football talk, folks, but so there was William Wallace, and then they had this crazy guy that was helping them. So
well, he was Irish.
Oh yeah, he was Irish, but I think they called him the Christian or some stupid.
I think
thing.
he came from Ireland, yeah. So maybe he's Jamie Ward. I don't know,
Yeah, so maybe he's Jamie Ward. I could probably slip in as that character, but from Trinidad, I'll join in the fight as well. That crazy guy. So, folks, listen, this is exciting, and also, James, before we head on to other things, I'll try to do a FIFA pre-match live stream in a little bit. So you guys can look at it. I know a lot of people enjoyed sending me messages about the Argentina thing. So I'll put a sim on and, we'll see how it goes and have a little pre-match entertainment. See who wins. And I'll try to get the lineup as accurately as possible. James could probably send me what he thinks the lineups will be, and I'll put it in and let the FIFA AI decide and see if the FIFA AI is correct. We'll talk about it afterwards. So James, we spoke about Southgate. We spoke about, the possible tactical approaches of the game. Steve Nicol from ESPN, and there's a heavy Scottish contingent on ESPN FC. There's Steve Nicol, there's Craig Burley, and I can't remember the other guy from Manchester, from West Ham. I think he used to play for. They were very positive in the first game, but Steve is saying, and I would like to hear your thoughts on this. He says Scotland is going to give it their all, but eventually, the quality is going to shine through. He's not convinced, but you seem to be convinced. So what do you think about that, James? What do you think about some people just not giving Scotland a chance?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's one of those things. I mean, I'm not going to say they're not true Scots because, but you've got to have hope. You've got to have, a little faith. And I think this is a very good squad we have. I just hope that the coach makes the right calls. I mean, and because to be honest, in my opinion, he has to make, people are going to say, well, James is a Rangers man, and that's why he wants Patterson and Gilmore there to come in, because Gilmore obviously used to play Rangers. But to me, Gilmore's one of the most exciting young players we have, Give him a chance. He's done well at Chelsea.
One chance,
yeah. And Patterson's been great for Rangers. So, I don't see why we don't bring him in, because, McTominay and McGinn are very good in there. We have Robertson on the left, who's been phenomenal for us. So I think we have to go for it. And then, the script is set up for Che Adams, who's obviously English, who came and switched over to Scotland to come and score the winner, in my opinion. But that's a fairy tale kind of thing. We'll see if it happens. But I think we have a big chance, and I'm not saying that, to get the laugh there, but I do. I think as long as we come out and everybody gives 110%, I think we could do it.
Yeah. So the logical side of me will always say, based on paper, the overused cliche, but the game's not played on paper. So the logical side of me will say, okay, England looks like they're going to win. Scotland is going to give them a hard fight, and eventually they're going to, succumb to maybe like a 2-0 or 1-0 or something like that. But then the romantic side of me, I've seen crazy things before, James. And the thing is, it's not that far-fetched. I've seen teams that have no business being on the fields with other teams and get positive results. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Look at Iceland last time around. The people from Iceland will disagree because they have a very good program, but they're a very small population, and they made a good run the last time around. And then in the World Cup, they drew against Argentina with Leo Messi and these guys. Those guys, you ask anybody before that game, nobody, unless it was probably somebody from Iceland who really loves their team, a patriot, would have said that Iceland had any chance. And I've seen it last night, Venezuela draw against a team they had no business drawing against, because not only it's Venezuela, but it's a Venezuela team that was vastly depleted. So James, you can probably take heart by these comparisons that, hey, listen, this can happen. And you know what? Analysis aside, I'm going to give in a little bit to the sensationalism of the game. The romantic side of me would love Scotland to win. And I really think it's possible. So like I said, the logical side says England, but the romantic side says Scotland is going to rise to the occasion, because I really think they have a decent team. And, England has never really blown anybody away in international tournaments for some time now. My only concern is that, that the front three players for England, not necessarily the midfield, are very, pacey, dangerous players. And
I think Andre, on that, it comes down to how fit Tierney is, to be honest.
True.
I mean, obviously he missed the first game. He's back in. I mean, if he is, he's not going to be match fit necessarily, but if he is fit enough to cope with that pace, fine. But there's two interesting facts. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, on paper, England should destroy us, and I have no problem saying that. But the other interesting thing is a point would be good for us, if Czech Republic lose to Croatia, because it would open up the whole group, because it means that we could go into that last game against Croatia and obviously go for the victory. It would put us to 4 points. And then depending on goal difference and all that, and depending on England obviously beating Czech Republic, it could still send us through. So, I mean, there's still scenarios that could happen. So it may be, I don't necessarily want Steve Clarke to do this, but he could play for the draw. He could play his normal pragmatic self, close the ranks, banks the 4 in a sense, and just go for it.
Yeah, because go ahead. Sorry.
I really hope he doesn't. I just think this is a game that if we could go take 3 points, as I say, it is a long shot to an extent, but it would spur us on in that last game, and then we could reach 6 points, But it's going to be one of those ones. You go and you give everything, and you see how the game develops. Because football is 90 minutes. It's 11 guys against 11 guys. And as I say, I'd love to give this to Team Top before the game, But
so what we'll do is, James, I have an idea. So you actually read my mind, which you've been doing a lot these days. So we know that England is going to be proactive. They're going to try. I think from the get-go, they're going to try to attack Scotland. I think they're going to try to use what they perceived, superior players to their advantage. That's what they do. But Gareth Southgate, from what I've seen, has never been that aggressive. And as you rightfully mentioned, do Scotland go for the pragmatic, sit back and try to nick them on the break? Do you think that, the Scots have the quality up front, if they do create chances, that they could finish it off?
Well, put it that way. Lyndon Dykes is a big, strong guy. Very big guy. And Adams is very nifty around him. So I think, yes, Robertson whipping in those balls in, because that's the one thing. Against Czech Republic, we were very dangerous down the left. And my concern was we did not have the balance on the right. But if you bring somebody in like young Patterson, we have both flanks working. And they're both guys that can defend as well. And we can whip balls in. I believe Dykes, because I'm going to tell you one thing about England. Pickford didn't look 100% secure, in my opinion, especially on cross balls in the first game.
Yep.
Stones and Maguire, if he comes back in, he never played the first game. So there's little cracks there, and I found the English back line did not look 100% in the first game. They only won 1-0 at the end of the day. Yeah. So, there is ways that it could be done. It could be a set play. My only concern is we don't really have, before we had Lee Griffith, who scored, the free kick against England. Actually, was it 2? I can't even remember now. But we had guys, then. We don't really have that set piece taker, but we will see.
Maybe a shock return of Craig Burley to score a header for you guys.
I think it's come of the hour, come of the man. One of them has to step up and grab the game by the bricks, and go and win that game.
Yes. So, listen, this is a very interesting game, because you made an interesting point, and we're focusing on this game, folks, because obviously we said before the tournament we're going to focus on this game because of James and, the history between Scotland and England. So, this is our dedication to James, and also I'm hoping Scotland gets one over on the English as well. So, I'm trying to be analytical, but I'm also excited. But from England's perspective, you're right. You pointed out something that we mentioned before. England is far from impregnable. Their centre-back pairings. Stones can be absolutely brilliant, as we saw at Manchester City, but then be very wobbly at times. I think he needs someone around him to calm him down. That's my honest opinion. And also, Pickford has never been a keeper that has been very convincing to me. As you mentioned, Southgate is just sticking with, the guys that he's familiar with. And I think that's why he kind of plays that cautious football. Like, if you all remember back in World Cup 2018, I think all their goals are from set pieces, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong, James? Can you remember if that's the case?
I think a good percentage of them, yeah. If not 80 or 90%, yeah. So. Yeah,
I think a large percentage of them were from if not all, well, not all, but I think a large percentage were not from open play. So, if Scotland can, sit back and, neutralize that first wave of English attacks, which will come, because they will try to come and use their athleticism and so on, and take advantage of their chances on the break, which I did see, as you rightfully said, they did create chances. They weren't terrible at all in terms of creating some chances. But I think, and they probably know this, you will be able to create some gaps unless, and I'll put this scenario to you, James. What if Gareth Southgate decides to go conservatively and plays very, controlled passing football, which he's been trying to do with England? What then for Scotland? Do they kind of just play along, or do they kind of lure Scotland into coming out and then they snatch them on the break? Because England is a very strange team, because while the Premiership is known for their fast, pacey football, the English national team has been, kind of dabbling on the line of counter-attacking football for a long time. So I'm just throwing that scenario for you. If Southgate decides to sit back and play it cool, what do you think Scotland would do?
Well, I will tell you something. Scotland played a very cautious approach, in my opinion, against Czech Republic. And we still created 19 chances. I mean, if you think about that for a second, we did not go guns blazing. We were still able to create 19 chances. And I'll tell you something. There must have been at least 7 or 8 blocks, defender, goalkeeper making a save, that were very close to being goals. And we did not bomb forward and attack. So we can still create from a deep position, in my opinion. And we have some young guys with pace. As I say, Dykes and Adams will cause any defence trouble. So, I mean, whether England come out and do that, which I don't think they will do, I think they will come out to try and prove everybody wrong, in a sense. And that could be their downfall too. You could go guns blazing and then get caught a little bit. But the good thing, in my opinion, is so many of the Scottish players play in England. And they know these players. As I say, Tierney, McTominay, McGinn, Gilmore, Dykes, Adams, Robertson. I mean, so they know these players inside out virtually. So There's going to be a plan. So, it's going to be a fantastic game. My mouth is watering. I'm ready for a beer now, I think, thinking about this game. So the kilt will be on. The heart will be beaten, and we'll be ready to do it.
Yes. And folks, our upcoming guest, Stephen John, all the way from Malaysia, James, you'll find this interesting. Apparently, he has Scottish roots. So that conversation will be interesting with when we get him on board with the three of us chatting. So it won't just be a guy who's from Malaysia who likes Argentina. He has some Scottish. I feel like I'm being overpowered by the Scots, but then I actually like Scotland. So listen, nobody's complaining. So James, final verdict. I know this will be very difficult for you to do. What do you think the score is going to be like?
I'm not going to predict a score. I'm not. I honestly, as I say, I got 2 out of 3 today. They say 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but I'm not going to predict a score in this one. I think it will be a very close game, and I think we might just nick it because of that. But I cannot say a score because there's so many factors. If I could see the team sheets now, I'd given you a prediction. But the fact that, I don't know how Clark's going to set up. I don't know how Southgate's going to set up. I will wait till closer to game time. As I say, anybody that has me on Facebook or there, you will see the predictions there. So we will see. But as I say, I think we will just nick it. I know Terry Fenwick's going to be out there watching, saying, James, you're talking absolute nonsense. But, there you go.
We'll try to get some a message from Terry and throw it into the reaction video to hear what Terry has to say. And if we get something before, we'll put it up on our social media as well and have some banter going back and forth with James, Jamie, and Terry. So
I'll tell you one thing, Andre. You know what? If we go out there and give 100% and lose, I have no qualms, and I'll say that from there. Because as I say, there's a great chance, or probably a 70% chance that England are even more going to win the game. Let's be honest, on paper. But as long as we go out there and leave it all on the field, I will be happy.
Yes. And, I agree with that because that's a problem we had with some of our players. But, that's a whole other story. So, folks, since we'll give James the benefit of the doubt because it's a highly emotional game for him, he's a Scot, we will have the FIFA sim, which as soon as we're done, that's going to pop up on our YouTube and Facebook. And we'll let FIFA decide because that's an interesting way for you gamers out there. James, you can send me, like I said, the lineups you think we'll play, and we'll put the most accurate lineups as possible. And we'll have a FIFA sim, and then we'll see how accurate FIFA was afterwards. And hopefully James will be celebrating after the game and not in cheers. But as James said, if it's one thing I'll expect from the Scots is that they're going to give it 100%. And that's one thing I really admire about that team. So, folks, let us know what you think in the comment section. Jamie, before we go, James, give the fans a little insight about Jamie and your little back and forth conversation about who Jamie is, Jamie Ward.
Well, as I say, Jamie played for Northern Ireland 35 times. He's obviously played in the Premiership. I think he played for Derby. He played for Nottingham Forest. He played for... Oh, you've got me real reaching now. I had it before we in the game. He did play in the Premiership for several teams. Fantastic professional. Great guy. As I say, and he has this kind of dual thing because obviously he played for Northern Ireland, but he was born in Birmingham, I think. So... yeah, and we have a very good friendship. So for a long time we've been communicating, and we will see who's the best on the day.
Yes. So we'll end it off there, folks. So like I said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, check out the videos. It really helps, so share with your friends and everybody all over the planet. Up next, we'll have Sivan on the show with us, who is an Argentinian fan from Malaysia who has Scottish roots, James. So Like I tell you, the EXTV worldliness continues. So like I said, don't forget to check out our FIFA match preview, and also to support the channel, folks, and for kids who have been affected in Trinidad and Tobago by COVID, with some merchandise you can purchase in the link below. We already got a couple sold, which is very exciting. Thank you very much. And I hope you guys do that, because when you do that, it contributes to helping these kids with this situation that's very awful, and it's affecting a lot of people. So you're not just wearing EXTV merchandise, you're helping a person as well. So, James, it's been a pleasure. I know you have to go do your push-ups and prepare your kilt and, whatever. I hope you put some stuff on social media for us to see. And, good luck in the upcoming battle.
I appreciate it.
Just a reminder, everyone, for more episodes with Shaka Hits Luck, be sure to head over to our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more updates, interviews, and content.